Hey, what's up, guys? It's Roy. I'm gonna do a mini dev video here, show off some of the new bots that I'm building for the game. Uh, the game itself, and I talked about this in Discord a little bit. I use something called service-oriented architecture, which is not entirely what I use, but it's kind of close. Basically, instead of having one giant server for the entire game, which would be this guy right here, I split up the work amongst a couple different applications. So, for example, there is a single chat server. This handles all chat messages, all moderation for chat, that kind of stuff. There's a single store server. So anytime in the game you're buying something or you're selling something or you get more points or you bank your points, the store server handles it. There's something called a load balancer. So basically when you I should have checked the text on here. All right, cool. There's no passwords loaded. That's good. So, all right. So when you first start the game, you actually don't talk to the game server yet. You talk to the load balancer. When someone creates a new arena, the load balancer creates another copy of the game server for that arena, and it moves players around. So when you first join a server, if Arena 1 is full, it'll move you to Arena 2. This all happens behind the scenes, so you don't actually see it. And then lastly, there's the game server itself. So when you're playing, this is what's actually like moving the gameplay data around. It's verifying that, it stops helps to block cheaters. It does all pretty much anything related to the actual gameplay itself is done inside the game server. So I split things up based off, what I think needs to do what. This can probably be split up even more, but it's not really necessary for this game. And so, I don't, the store itself is separate from the game. The game works with the store, so it can be on its own, right? Processing text messages for chat is pretty expensive, so that can be on its own, hence its own chat server. And the load balancer just lets me have multiple of these running, but the game server does most of the work. And now I'm going to introduce another thing, which is called the bot server, or the bot manager, which I've affectionately called the Borg, because I love Star Trek. I'm going to show you what I'm working on here. This is very early. Basically, Zone developers will be able to add their own bots. Mine is called Roybot. You can set some metrics, some stats for it. There'll be other things you can set, but let's kick this off and you can see what it looks like. This is very early. Like, I wouldn't even call this feature alpha because it's pretty new. I just kind of got them working. So I'm just going to go in my local game here. So this game's modified. I'm running locally, so I have the player kind of start up. Yeah, I don't even have a class selected. It's basically so I don't have to go through the teleporter to get back here because I'm doing a bunch of testing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn a bot on my own. It's tied to a hotkey. You won't see me press the button, but I'm going to press it now. Look at that little dude. So what's happening behind the scenes is the bot server it saw my command to create a new character. They created a new character. And because in order to really like move the bot around and make sure they know where they're going, it needs to see the 3D world, right? And so the bot server actually loads the 3D world into memory. That's watching everything going around. That was cool. You see him navigate around that thing. And then it's using that, and it's got an algorithm running in the background. It's a version of a A-star pathfinding algorithm, which is a pretty good algorithm. And when it first starts, it actually doesn't have all the 3D details for the world. It starts off like from top left to bottom right, a completely open world. And then what it does is as the bot's moving around, actually, this is better if I actually show you. So let's visual collision shapes. That's what we want. So if you remember this from one of my earlier videos, being able to view collision shapes just means you see the details of the stuff you normally wouldn't see in gameplay. Basically, here's all the boxes around everything that you're actually interacting with. So if these shapes weren't here, let me see if I have an example somewhere here. Maybe this tree. Yeah, okay, check out this tree, right? So you see that box right there? Bump into it, the player stops moving, right? But you notice how the middle trunk doesn't have a box, which means I can walk through it. Now, not all collision shapes are made the same or treated equally. Notice how when I turn the player around, the outer box doesn't actually collide. That's used for interacting with things. The inner box is the actual one that I use for collision. So all that is to say, let's bring another bot out. Notice the things shooting out from this dude. So these are raycasts. What are these used for? So every time these bump into something, you see them turning red. Remember before I mentioned how everything from top left to bottom right starts totally blank? So every time this bot runs into something, in this case me, it's going to ignore me. It's not going to report me, but when it runs into a wall, it's actually reporting that to the Borg. So it's building up this map dynamically in real time. The reason that's important is when I jump into a vehicle, right now I don't have vehicles implemented, but vehicles move around, right? And so it's one thing for me to load the static world. It's another thing for me to have the bot react to objects like vehicles that constantly move around and players and all that. The other thing is it kind of reduces initial load. It's a little bit less complex when I just have the bots report where they're at. And then from the algorithm perspective, the bot's just constantly updating the world. So even if I go somewhere here, which is pretty complicated, let's see if it gets stuck or if it finds me. So it saw there's an opening there. Look at it walking through. Good job, buddy. Let's see. Sometimes they get stuck around these desks. Then I mean, you can see even so it should be able to, yeah, so the door opens for it. From the game server's perspective, it thinks this is just another player. So the server itself, right now, doesn't even know that this is a bot. It thinks it's just another player walking around. The game engine itself also doesn't know that it's a bot. It just thinks it's another player. The reason that's cool is you'll start seeing them, once I like really hook them up to the game, you'll start seeing them showing up in the player list. I'll make it obvious that they're bots. Um, but you'll be able to interface and shoot them just like anyone else. The reason I did it is, sometimes you want your own private arena. You want to be able to play on your own without having other people there. Oh, it got stuck there. What you doing there, bud? Um, and also, honestly, for testing, sometimes I just want to throw a bunch of folks onto here or a bunch of bots onto here, I guess, without having people, just so it gives me an opportunity to test things. I ran out of stamina, or else I would be running right now. I am going to add a whole bunch of bots. Let's see if I can kind of crash this. I was able to crash it earlier. So there's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. So eventually this starts to really slow down for a couple reasons. One, I'm recording with OBS. Two, I'm running every portion of the server on this computer on top of my game, on top of the bot manager. You see it's already kind of starting to lag. So when you guys run this on your computer, it'll be transparent because you're not going to be running all the logic for the bots. You just have the logic for your game going. These would look like just other players, right? So anyway, that's it. I thought I'd do a quick video, show off bots. Man, it's really starting to slow down now. Oh my gosh, get away from me, guys. You're making it weird. Let's see how many more I can add. 3, 4. Look at them all. Look at these guys. So what's cool is watching these guys. They're looking through the room. They're trying to figure out their exit. In a room, trying to figure out their exit. And there we go. Now they found their way out. That was pretty cool to see. Let's see if I can trip them up. I'm going to go. I'm honestly really surprised that it really hasn't slowed down much. And it hasn't crashed. I think it's about 30 or 40 bots that I had running with me. But let's go through. It's pretty there it goes. There it goes. Something tripped it up and the game froze. That's fun. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I just wanted to kind of show you guys. Oh, something complaining here? No. I just wanted to show you guys the latest bot stuff. And yeah, all right, catch you later.